Good afternoon, everybody. First, let me show. I'm actually wearing my belt. This is not my original black belt. My original black belt is over 30 years old and shrunk a lot. And when I tied it right about where my fists are, that's where it came out. So, a good friend and ex-student that I used to teach went out and purchased this black belt. It has a red stripe on it. Not sure what the red stripe signifies, but we decided that we were going to call it sensei. As you can see, my knot is tied correctly. I don't know if you can really see that. It's tied correctly. It's where it's supposed to be. This is not what I wanted to talk about, though. Sensei Bolden said, put up a video where he was drawing his wakizashi, which is the short sword. First, he asked a question about what the long sword and the short sword meant, and he was pretty much correct. The katana is the long sword meant for battle, combat, war. And the wakizashi, which was the shorter one, was what they called a personal sword, which meant that could be carried in the household, small corridors, etc. You're not going to swing this around in a small, narrow corridor, not very well. So that was the reason why. And then the tanto was also a personal knife and sword for the, I think I say it right, harikari, or, yeah, I think that's what it was called. Anyways, I'm way out of league of the traditionalism. I was way into traditionalism years ago. But he also mentioned that there are 3 different ways to draw your sword, and there actually are many because it depends on how you wear your sword. Some wear their sword angled this way. This is the way I believe Sensei Bolden does it. And you can step back. When you come out, your blade's already out. Oh yeah, and if you want to be traditional about the way you slide it in and out, it's just that I've done it for a number of years, but I also do many other weapons. You can also turn it this way and draw it out. The other thing that he talked about was, as you can see, I turn it the same way he does, but actually I like turning it to the side. But here's how you draw. You step either backwards in defensive position, striking out, and then to ready. Or you can step forward, lunging in attack, and then to ready. This much is true. But what if you're not wearing your sword that way? You can't draw it that way. So now I'm wearing it this way. Okay? It's a little harder to sheath because I can't see the scabbard. But it's in the back. And I just drew it beautifully. So that's another way. Also, what if you're not wearing your sword on your belt? What if you're wearing it on your back? Can't exactly draw it from down here. Like I said, many ways to draw the samurai sword, but there are also other swords. Broadsword. See? Just in case y'all thought that was difficult. The hard part is trying to sheath it while it's on your back. guess this would be called the Michonne style now for Walking Dead. I just wanted to point that out. You know, and these swords, these pirate cutlasses, they're worn on the hip too, but they're not worn like a samurai. So yeah, you could step back and draw, but they're more or less designed just to pull straight out. The other thing is it depends on what your point of attack is or defense. Because another reason why the samurai wore their belt, wore it here and facing this way, is because it's comfortable to carry it this way. It's easier to slide through corridors and hallways and every place else because it's at a curvature, so it's easier to move around. You turn it the other way, and it's more or less gets in the way for walking. Where was I going? Oh yeah, sometimes it's not even a full draw, because you can also draw underhand. And why I said not even a full draw is because sometimes when the sword is angled this way, an opponent comes swinging, the samurai wasn't ready to completely draw a sword yet, or he was being totally defensive, and he blocks the opponent's blade, comes back around and does his attack. And sometimes, what if the samurai sword is not in the belt? Okay, then you can draw it from different ways too. I'm just saying, traditionalism says the three ways of that samurai Bolden mentioned. I used to be traditional way back in the years when I was younger, but came to realize when I'm training all by myself and there's nobody here, and then when I go to spar people and stuff, who am I really being traditional for? It's another reason why I stopped wearing it. Actually, there was two reasons for me stopping wearing gis. I had a total of 7 gis practicing Taekwondo and Hapkido. One was a black belt. Well, 2 were black belt gis. One was in Hapkido and one was in Taekwondo. So I had 2 black belt gis, and then I had like 2 other gis of both styles for practice class. And well, I lived, like I said, a rough life. So, you know, my gis end up getting stolen, thrown away. I think one actually got burned by an ex-girlfriend. And she didn't like set it in a fire and burn it. She took a cigarette and literally burned holes in my uniform. You know what I mean? Like, wow, really? Anyway, that was years ago. And that's when I started realizing too, is if you're not going to be inside the hall of a dojo, why do you need to wear a uniform? Most of my fights end up because I'm trying to either defend myself or my family. So it's in real life and out on the street, I'm wearing the clothes that I'm wearing. Not, you know, I don't sit there and look at the guy and go, hold up, and go home and put on my jammies. Anyway, yeah. Have a nice day, everybody.